What's up, football fanatics? Think you know your Champions League history? Well, buckle up because we're about to go on a roller coaster ride through 25 years of European football glory. From last-minute miracles to penalty heartbreaks, tactical masterclasses to absolute choke jobs. I'm breaking down every Champions League final since the millennium, and trust me, that 2005 Istanbul miracle at number 6, it's even more insane when you understand what really happened behind the scenes. So grab your scarves, practice your goal celebrations, and let's dive into the beautiful chaos that is Champions League history. Final number 1, Real Madrid 3-0, Valencia 2000. The first all-Spanish final in Champions League history. Real Madrid's Galáctico steamrolled their compatriots with Morientes, McManaman, and Raúl all finding the net. But the real story? Vicente del Bosque's tactical masterclass that suffocated Valencia before they could even dream of touching the trophy. The same Del Bosque who'd later lead Spain to World Cup glory deployed a ruthless diamond midfield that absolutely crushed Valencia's spirit within 75 minutes. European Dominance 101, taught by the original Super Club. Speaking of Spanish dominance, how about we fast forward to the German powerhouse that would change football forever with a lesson in heartbreaking precision. Final number 2, Bayern Munich 1-1 Valencia 5-4 pens. 2001, the revenge of the Germans. After their traumatic 2 minutes in Barcelona collapse against Manchester United in 1999, Bayern finally got their hands on the trophy, but not without drama. 3 penalties in normal time, Oliver Kahn turning into an absolute wall during the shootout, and poor Mauricio Pellegrino missing the decisive spot kick. The penalty shootout featured 6 missed penalties out of 14 taken. Still one of the most error-filled shootouts in Champions League history. Oliver Kahn's intimidation tactics during the shootout became goalkeeper coaching textbook material for the next decade. If you thought that was nerve-wracking, wait until you hear about the final, where one of the greatest players in history claimed his destiny with just 9 minutes of magic. Final number 3, Real Madrid 2-1 Bayer Leverkusen 2002. 2 words, Zidane, volleyball, the most aesthetically perfect Champions League final goal ever scored. That left-footed volley from the edge of the box meeting Roberto Carlos's looping cross. Poetry in motion. What makes it even more incredible? Zidane had been nursing a thigh injury all week and wasn't even supposed to shoot from that position. Meanwhile, poor Leverkusen completed their infamous Neverkusen treble, finishing runners-up in the Bundesliga, German Cup, and Champions League in the same season. The ultimate silver medal specialists. From sublime skill to tactical warfare, our next final showcased what happens when 2 Italian masterminds face off in a chess match with cleats on. Final number 4, AC Milan 0-0, Juventus 3-2 pens, 2003. The final that tactical purists worship and casual fans fell asleep watching. The ultimate Italian defensive masterclass. So Italian that it had to be decided by the worst penalty shootout in Champions League history. 5 misses out of 10 penalties taken. Shevchenko's winning penalty came after 120 minutes of tactical stalemate that was either brilliant or boring depending on your football philosophy. The real tragedy, Alessandro Del Piero's legacy took a hit despite being one of the few who actually scored his penalty. Defense wins championships, they say, but what happens when a Portuguese tactical genius rewrites the entire underdog playbook? Final number 5. Porto 3-0 Monaco 2004. Before he was the special one, he was the unexpected one. Jose Mourinho announced himself to the world by taking unfancied Porto to Champions League glory, demolishing equally surprising Monaco in the final. The most unlikely final of the modern era turned into a tactical clinic. Carlos Alberto, Deco, and Alenichev's goals were the cherry on top of Mourinho's masterpiece. A campaign that saw him knock out Manchester United and Lyon with a fraction of their budgets. 2 weeks later, Mourinho was Chelsea-bound with a salary that increased approximately 1,200%. Talk about a job interview performance. Think that comeback story was impressive? Our next final features the greatest Champions League comeback ever, so impossible that they named an entire city after it. Final number 6, Liverpool 3-3 AC Milan 3-2 pens 2005. Istanbul, the miracle, the impossible dream, down 3-0 at halftime against a Milan team featuring Maldini, Pirlo, Kaká, and Shevchenko, Liverpool somehow clawed back to force penalties and win. The least talented team to win a Champions League final in the 21st century pulled off the greatest comeback in football history. The secret sauce: Rafa Benitez's halftime tactical switch to a 3-5-2 and Steven Gerrard playing like a man possessed. Milan players still wake up in cold sweats thinking about those 6 minutes when Liverpool scored 3 times. And Jerzy Dudek's wobbly legs penalty technique, stolen directly from Liverpool legend Bruce Grobbelaar. Revenge is a dish best served with a clean sheet, as we're about to see in a rematch that showcased football's ultimate law of karma. Final number 7, Barcelona 2-1, Arsenal 2006. The final, where Arsenal were 14 minutes from immortality with 10 men. After Jens Lehmann became the first player ever sent off in a Champions League final, Arsenal somehow took the lead through Sol Campbell. Enter Henrik Larsson, the super sub who changed everything without scoring. 2 assists in 15 minutes after coming on turned the game on its head. Barcelona's comeback secured their second Champions League title, while Arsenal's brave effort with 10 men became one of those heroic defeats that football romantics still discuss. Thierry Henry would join Barcelona the following season. Football's strange way of bringing stories full circle. Speaking of revenge stories, buckle up for the ultimate redemption arc, as our next final gave us a penalty shootout that restored a dynasty's honor. Final number 8, AC Milan 2-1 Liverpool 2007. The Athens Redemption. 2 years after Istanbul, Milan got their revenge against the same opponent. Filippo Inzaghi, the man born offside, scored twice, both in the most Inzaghi ways possible. One deflected off his arm, the other a trademark poacher's finish. The real MVP, Carlo Ancelotti's tactical evolution, completely rebuilding Milan's approach to neutralize Liverpool's threat. Paolo Maldini became the oldest captain to lift the trophy at 38 years and 331 days, while playing like he was still 25. From tactical brilliance to the night when rain and tears created the most dramatic penalty miss in Champions League history. Final Durst 9, Manchester United 1-1 Chelsea 6-5 Pens 2008. The slip heard around the world. The first all-English final came down to John Terry's right foot in the Moscow rain, and we all know how that ended. The captain, leader, legend slipped at the crucial moment, hitting the post when his penalty would have won Chelsea the trophy. Van der Sar's save from Anelka's subsequent penalty sealed United's third European Cup. The forgotten detail: Didier Drogba got sent off in extra time for slapping Nemanja Vidic, forcing Terry to take the 5th penalty that would haunt his career forever. Cruel doesn't begin to describe it. If you thought that was dramatic, wait until you hear about the tactical masterclass that left the world's best player looking ordinary on the biggest stage. Final 10, Barcelona 2-0 Manchester United 2009. The night Pep Guardiola's Barcelona announced themselves as possibly the greatest team ever, Sir Alex Ferguson admitted they gave us a hiding as Eto'o and Messi scored to complete a historic treble. The game plan? Pure genius, targeting United's right side where Anderson and Ronaldo's defensive limitations were exposed time and again. Xavi and Iniesta completed more passes between themselves than United's entire midfield combined. This was the match that convinced Florentino Perez to break the bank for Ronaldo weeks later, the most expensive consolation prize in football history. But what happens when the tactical genius becomes the tactical prisoner? Our next final showed us that sometimes overthinking can be your worst enemy. Final number 11, Inter 2-0 Bayern Munich 2010. Jose Mourinho's masterpiece. Inter completed an unprecedented Italian treble by shutting down Bayern with defensive perfection and lethal counterattacks. Diego Milito's 2 elegant finishes were the difference, but the real story was Mourinho's tactical masterclass. He neutralized Bayern's wingers Robben and Ribéry while creating the perfect counterattacking plan. After the final whistle, the emotional scenes of Mourinho celebrating with Marco Materazzi showed just how much it meant, even as rumors swirled about his imminent departure to Real Madrid. Just 3 days later, he was announced as Madrid's new manager. Talk about going out on top. From tactical perfection to footballing poetry, our next final featured the team that redefined beautiful football, humbling the most successful club in history. Final number 12, Barcelona 3-1 Manchester United 2011. Lightning strikes twice. Barcelona dismantled United again with what Sir Alex Ferguson called the best team I've ever faced. Messi, Xavi, and Iniesta put on a tiki-taka clinic at Wembley that had viewers checking if the match was being played at 0.75x speed for everyone else. Wayne Rooney's equalizer was the briefest moment of hope before Barcelona's carousel of passing made United dizzy. The telling stat, Barcelona completed 777 passes to United's 357. Not just a win, a philosophical statement about how football should be played. What happens when destiny calls the most unlikely hero in the most unexpected way? Our next final gave us the perfect football fairy tale. Final number 13, Chelsea 1-1 Bayern Munich 4-3 2012. The It Was Written in the Stars final. Chelsea, with their interim manager Roberto Di Matteo, somehow upset Bayern in their own backyard after a campaign of miraculous escapes. Didier Drogba's 88th minute equalizer, followed by his winning penalty in his final Chelsea appearance, or so we thought, completed the ultimate football romance story. The untold hero, Petr Cech, who saved Arjen Robben's extra time penalty, and 2 more in the shootout. Roman Abramovich finally got his Champions League after spending over $1 billion chasing it, proving that if you throw enough money at something, eventually it sticks. From unlikely triumph to German efficiency at its finest. Our next final showcased the beginning of a new Bundesliga power taking over Europe. Final number 14, Bayern Munich 2-1 Borussia Dortmund 2013. The all-German Wembley showdown. Klopp's heavy metal football versus Henke's precision engineering, with Bayern getting their redemption after 2 final defeats in 3 years. Arjen Robben's 89th minute winner exercised his penalty miss demons from the previous year's final. The backstory that made it spicy? Bayern had just announced they were signing Dortmund's star Robert Lewandowski and had already taken Mario Götze, essentially asset stripping their finals opponent before the biggest game in their history. Cold-blooded doesn't begin to describe it. Speaking of city rivalries, how about the one time 2 teams from the same street fought for European glory in the most dramatic way possible? Final number 15, Real Madrid 4-1 Atletico Madrid 2014. La Decima drama. Real Madrid's obsessive 12-year quest for their 10th European Cup came down to Sergio Ramos's 93rd minute equalizer, the greatest clutch header in Champions League history. Atletico were seconds away from the ultimate upset before Ramos broke their heart. The extra time collapse that followed, Bale, Marcelo, and Ronaldo scoring, was merely the aftershock of that Ramos moment. Diego Simeone's reaction, storming the pitch to confront the referee, creating the lasting image of controlled fury in a designer suit. The beginning of Atletico's Champions League final curse had begun. From Madrid madness to the perfect attacking trident in football history, our next final marked the beginning of MSN supremacy. Final number 16, Barcelona 3-1 Juventus 2015. The MSN masterclass. Messi, Suarez, and Neymar all contributing to goals in the final. The only time in history all members of a front 3 have done so. Even Rakitic's early goal set the tone for Luis Enrique's Barcelona to complete their second treble in 6 years. The tactical mismatch. Barcelona's attack was simply unstoppable, becoming the first team to achieve 2 trebles in Champions League history. The symbolic moment, Xavi's substitution, the changing of the guard as Barcelona's greatest ever midfielder made way for the next generation after winning his 4th Champions League. City Rivalries, Part 2. Our next final gave us penalty drama that cemented one team's European dynasty and extended another's heartbreak. Final number 17, Real Madrid 1-1, Atletico Madrid 5-3 2016. Lightning strikes twice. Real Madrid broke Atletico hearts again in a final, this time on penalties. Sergio Ramos, who else, opened the scoring before Griezmann missed a penalty in normal time. Carrasco's equalizer forced a shootout where Juanfran's miss let Cristiano Ronaldo seal Real's 11th European Cup. The stat that hurts? Atletico Madrid became the only team to lose 3 European Cup finals without winning one. Simeone's men played better for large stretches but still ended with silver medals, proving that in football, as in life, fairness is just a concept. From Madrid dominance to Italian defensive masterclass, our next final proved that sometimes the old ways are still the best ways. Final number 18, Real Madrid 4-1 Juventus 2017. The Cardiff demolition. Real Madrid became the first team to retain the Champions League in the modern era with a second-half destruction of Juventus. The match was tied 1-1 at halftime after Cristiano Ronaldo's opener was cancelled out by Mario Mandžukic's spectacular overhead kick, possibly the greatest goal ever scored in a Champions League final. But Real Madrid's second-half surge with goals from Casemiro, Ronaldo again, and Asensio sealed a 4-1 victory. Zinedine Zidane's halftime tactical adjustments completely transformed the game, proving that sometimes the best coaches make their biggest impact when no one's watching. From tactical brilliance to goalkeeper nightmares, our next final gave us the most bizarre individual performance in Champions League history. Final number 19, Real Madrid 3-1 Liverpool 2018. The Karius catastrophe. Two of the most inexplicable goalkeeping errors ever seen in a final, combined with Gareth Bale's outrageous bicycle kick, gave Madrid their third straight title. The forgotten context: Liverpool lost Mohamed Salah to Sergio Ramos's controversial challenge after just 30 minutes, completely changing the complexion of the game. Later tests revealed Karius suffered a concussion earlier in the match, but that footnote was lost in the narrative of his career-defining mistakes. Zidane resigned days later at the absolute peak of his powers. The ultimate mic drop in coaching history. From Madrid's Threepeat to, well, something completely different. Our next final showcased what happens when two Premier League titans bring total football to Spain. Final number 20, Liverpool 2-0 Tottenham 2019. The redemption of Jurgen Klopp. After 6 straight final defeats across competitions, the German finally got his hands on the big one thanks to Mohamed Salah's early penalty and Divock Origi's late clincher. The least entertaining final of the decade featured two exhausted English teams who'd spent their best moments in the semi-finals. Liverpool's comeback against Barcelona and Spurs' late drama against Ajax. The real achievement? Klopp transformed Liverpool from 10th in the Premier League to European champions in just 3.5 years. The steepest rebuild curve in modern football history. From English revival to pandemic peculiarity, our next final showed us that even without fans, champions find a way to write their names in history. Final number 21, Bayern Munich 1-0 PSG 2020. The COVID final, the strangest setting for a Champions League decider. An empty stadium in Lisbon during a global pandemic. Bayern Munich completed their perfect Champions League campaign, 11 wins from 11 games, with Kingsley Coman scoring the winner against his former club. The cruel irony: PSG spent over 1 billion euros chasing European glory, only to be beaten by their own academy product. Neymar's tears at the final whistle became the lasting image, while Manuel Neuer's second-half saves, particularly his brilliant stop from Kylian Mbappe, cemented his status as the greatest goalkeeper of his generation. Hansi Flick's Bayern team quietly put together one of the most dominant European campaigns ever, during the most challenging circumstances possible. From German precision to English renaissance, our next final gave us the ultimate tactical chess match between two philosopher coaches. Final number 22, Chelsea 1-0 Manchester City 2021. The Tuchel masterclass. Just 124 days after being appointed, Thomas Tuchel outsmarted Pep Guardiola when it mattered most. Kai Havertz's first ever Champions League goal was enough to secure Chelsea's second European Cup. The tactical shock? Guardiola's decision to start without a defensive midfielder, overthinking at the worst possible moment. N'Golo Kante's superhuman performance earned him Man of the Match honors, covering seemingly every blade of grass in Porto. City's billion-pound project fell at the final hurdle to a Chelsea team that was 9th in the Premier League when Tuchel took over, proving that timing in football, as in comedy, is everything. From tactical surprises to the perfect farewell, our next final gave us the storybook ending for one of football's greatest modern dynasties. Final number 23, Real Madrid 1-0 Liverpool 2022. The Courtois Wall. The Belgian goalkeeper produced arguably the greatest individual final performance ever with 9 saves, including spectacular stops from Mané and Salah. Vinicius Jr.'s back post finish decided a final delayed by 36 minutes due to dangerous crowd congestion outside the stadium. The real story, Carlo Ancelotti becoming the first manager to win 4 Champions League titles, completing his comeback to elite football after being sacked by Everton a year earlier. This was also the last hurrah for Madrid's legendary midfield trio of Casemiro, Kroos, and Modric, the engine room for 5 Champions League titles in 9 years. From Madrid's magic to Manchester Blue, our next final finally delivered the trophy that cost over $2 billion to win. Final number 24, Manchester City 1-0, Inter Milan, 2023. The Pep completion. Guardiola finally delivered the Champions League that Manchester City's owners had been obsessing over since their 2008 takeover. Rodri's precise strike was enough to overcome a stubborn Inter side, completing City's treble season. The nervous final minute saw Romelu Lukaku miss a golden chance to equalize, adding another chapter to his big game struggles. The victory validated City's controversial financial approach that had transformed football's economic landscape forever. For Pep, it was vindication after 12 years of Champions League heartbreak since his Barcelona days, proving that perfection requires both genius and patience. And finally, our most recent chapter in Champions League history gave us the perfect swan song for one of football's greatest ever players. Final number 25. Real Madrid 2-0 Borussia Dortmund 2024. The Kroos farewell. In his final game before retirement, Toni Kroos orchestrated another Real Madrid European triumph with a masterclass in midfield control. Goals from Carvajal and Vinicius Jr. sealed Madrid's record-extending 15th European Cup Champions League title. Dortmund's brave underdogs, who finished 5th in the Bundesliga, couldn't overcome the final hurdle despite an impressive first half. The symbolism was perfect, Kroos controlling the tempo one last time before walking away at the absolute peak of his powers. As for Madrid, their dynasty continues, proving that while football constantly evolves, some things remain eternal. And there you have it, 25 years of Champions League finals. From tactical masterclasses to individual brilliance, heartbreaking collapses to miracle comebacks, these matches didn't just crown champions, they wrote football history. Which final stands out most to you? Was it Istanbul's miracle, Zidane's volley, or something else entirely? Drop your favorite Champions League final memory in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss our football deep dives. This is Football Fanatic signing off. See you in the next one.